Welcome to the Oregon Fly Fishing blog. Today we're going to tie a Royal Wulff. I've got a TMC 100 in the vise here. We're using a little Vivus 10-aught. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to set the wing on this fly. White calf tail, you're looking for straight stuff. You're going to cut a little chunk off and put that in your hair stacker tips down. The other thing I'm going to do here before I get started and setting that wing is I'm going to get a little wax on my thread because calf tail is pretty slick and I don't want it slipping out of the thread at all. And I'm going to take this out tips forward. They're fairly even. Get out the under hair if there is any. I'll take and I want 1.5 gaps for my wing. Secure that in real good. Looks like it's about in the right spot. Cut this hair off. Now I don't let go of that hair until I go to cut. And the reason is I don't want that to slip at all. So now I'm going to come in the front and wrap, splay, go between, and we'll just do a little figure 8 pattern here. I'm going to get those hairs to stand up and set the way I want them. I'll just kind of use my thumbnail. So I've got them jacked up like they should be. Now I'm going to wax a little more, and I found this pretty important in setting divided hair wings or calf tail wings. It just, when you go to wrap around, you've got this sticky substance on your thread and it grabs the hair. Now see how easy that was? If I'd have been doing that with a unwaxed thread, it'd be sliding all over the place and fighting it. So now I've got that, and you'll see they're kind of splayed out after setting them. I'm just going to take and push them up, and then I'll wrap between them again. Get those wings put right up where I want them. Okay, now I'm going to clean all this up. Cover this little bump of white. Now you see the thread starting to slip off again. I'll just add a little wax to there. And get that covered up. Okay, and now we'll come back and we're going to put a cow elk tail in here. Tips down in your stacker, comb out your underhair with your little comb, and you have nice even tips. Okay, so now I'm going to set my tail. And this is about 1 gap. I usually run these tails gap, gap and a half, a little shorter than normally do on a mayfly pattern on these hair wings. They're kind of a stout, stubby little deal. So I've got this hair sticking up, and what I'm going to do is just take my thread over it and secure it right up against the back of where the calf tail ended, and try to keep the symmetry in that body as best I can, and keep that nice and even. So now I'm going to just clean this up. If you didn't notice, I broke my thread in there and I slid it back in on you. Okay, so now I have a fairly smooth body. The wings are set. Don't worry about them too much. The tail's in there, setting out where it should be. Now we need some peacock herl. I usually grab about 3 or 4 fibers. I generally make a chenille, so I line them up, cut the tips off, tie it in, and then I take my thread and I make my loop and I tie back over it. Now I can take the peacock herl and the thread and wrap it all together with a set of hackle pliers. And that'll make that fly last a little bit longer for you. Okay, so now I'm going to take, there's 2 things you can do here. You can leave this out and use that for the next segment, which is what I'm going to do, because it's still quite a bit of good peacock herl there. And then I'm going to wrap in some, well, there's lots of different things you can use. Traditionally the center band is floss, and I'm not going to do floss. because the floss turns really dark and it gets so tattered by fish that this is just a little better product to use. So what I've got going on there is I just kind of whip finished off, and I'm going to take this, and I've got a stuff called Day Bright, and it's a floss substitute, and it's really bright, and I just start that like I would to tie some thread, and I'm going to wrap that right back to there, and then I'm going to bring it forward, and then I'll just take my thread and start it again in there. That's one way of doing it. You can cut off a section and tie that in is another way, but I've got this on a bobbin, so I thought I would just do it that way. So now I've got my front section still sticking out there. I'll just pull that back. Saves a little time from having to grab a whole nother section of herl too. So now I'll take my hackle pliers, spin this again, bring it up to finish that segment there. I committed a little bit of a faux pas here. I may not have left enough room for the hackle, but we'll see. We'll see. Haven't tied one of these in a bit, so you'll have to bear with me. Okay, so I've got that tied off. Now I need a size 12 brown hackle, and we like a long one because we can get lots and lots of wraps out of it. I'm going to tie this in behind here, and this is just a size 12 brown saddle hackle. And then I'm just going to take this and start wrapping it forward. Now you noticed here, and I wanted to point this out, see how the hackle's cupping back? I've got this tied in wrong. I want that hackle cupping forward so that when you're casting this fly into the wind, the hackle doesn't lay down, it stands up like a dry fly should. And if you have it cupped back, it's going to lay back kind of like a wet fly hackle. It's not going to stand up real well and be very buoyant. So, a few wraps there, come around front. Okay, I'm going to pull that back, bring that around front if I can. If not, I will use my thread to do it. And stand it up in there. I'm going to pull this and snug everything up. Now I like to take my hackle and pull it back and then tie it off. That gives you a little cleaner head, and what it also allows you to do is just pop that off instead of having to cut and leave a big mess. I'm going to clean up those. Find my whip finisher here. And we have a Royal Wulff. Very great attractor